Good evening, everybody. Welcome in on this Monday night little beginning of the week refresher from this crazy weekend ahead. Joined as always in the Sports Lab with your boy AJ Connor. What's going on, my man? How you doing, dude?
What's going on? Ready to talk about some dirt, some heat going on out in all the sports world.
It is definitely hot in the kitchen for some of those after this weekend. That is for sure. Obviously, let's just jump right to it, man. Big news came out today. Breaking news. Calvin Ridley, man. Dude apparently is in deep with Vegas. You know, bookies are after him. No, I don't know about all that. But Calvin Ridley has been suspended for the entire next season for betting on NFL games. What do you make of this, man? Like, I'm torn on it. What do you make of it?
I mean, I don't know what – I mean, you gotta make decisions that make sense. I mean, we all make mistakes, but when you have the stakes are so high, like I think they said $10 million is what he's supposed to make next year.
Mm-hmm.
He put $1,500 worth of bets out. Unless he was betting for the Jaguars to win the Super Bowl, that doesn't make sense. And it's like a no-no. Go bet on something else. It all pays the same. Go bet on college basketball or go bet on NBA. Go bet on NHL. It all pays the same.
Mm-hmm.
He's pulling a Pete Rose. Like I get like, okay, it's not that big of a deal, but it is because the NFL has to put a stop on it. With gambling being a bigger deal in the NFL now in sports, they're embracing gambling. You have to put a stance on the players gambling, because then it gets into the integrity of a sport. Like if people start betting and they're like not getting big suspensions, not getting in trouble, then you lead down a slippery slope of people throwing games. And we go back to the Black Sox scandal and then the Pete Rose and all that. And I don't get me wrong, like I don't think you should be punished forever for it. People make mistakes. People think that they can make some money and have some fun. But if you're going to do gambling, you can do fantasy sports. Just don't bet on it. Like you work for the NCAA, you can't bet on. You work for the NCAA. You're not a player. You can't bet on NCAA sports. It's just kind of how it goes. You should know that coming up through college anyways. So you can still do March Madness tournaments. You can still do fantasy football. You can still all do those things. You just can't bet money when you are working for that. It's the same thing as insider trading with like stocks and stuff. Like if you're a board member for a company and something's about to happen, you can't necessarily make trades to maneuver that, and it's super illegal. I mean, it's the same thing for gambling. Like Like a year, is it too long? No, I think it's just right. I don't think you should crucify him and not let him play ever again, but
Hmm.
definitely a year makes sense for, you know, they've definitely suspended people for a lot less. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I'm torn on it because to your point, like you said, man, like, it is the punishment like, is it, over the top? I don't think so. Do I think that this is gonna become a little bit bigger of a story than it probably needs to become? Absolutely, because I think that right now you're in that time where there's not much going on in the off season other than rumors of where a couple people may be going. But I mean, free agency itself hasn't actually started, so you can't actually, put pen to paper on anything or do anything like that at this present time. I'm just torn on it because it's like, dude, the guy wasn't playing at the time. He was. The problem is he was technically still on the roster because he was on like the what was it, the not fit to play, like non-illness or whatever. It was
yeah,
some term that they had him on to where basically he was on the roster but he wasn't on the roster really. And so
right.
like I mean there is that part of it. Um, and then if he bet on games, they're saying he bet on the. I've heard he's bet on the Falcons, not against
Hmm.
the Falcons. So it's kind of to me, it's like if you bet on yourself, like But then but then I thought about it a little bit more, and betting on yourself is not necessarily saying that you're betting your team to win. You're just saying, hey, I bet you guys will at least cover the spread type deal. Especially with the Falcons, they're probably underdogs a lot. They were getting points in these situations, so he's like, hey, I bet you we can. At least not lose by a little bit. He kind of had like, to your point, a little bit of an insider. I don't know though. It's at the end of the day, it's like I said, he wasn't actually playing though. He wasn't on the roster, or he was on the roster, but like he wasn't playing. He had tapped out because of whatever mental issues he had going on at the time. This happened in November. I believe the last game he played was in October. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. It's like, dude, he wasn't actually playing at the time. Wasn't on a team. Um, but to your point, it is the rule, and I mean, I think it's a little bit silly. I think if you want to bet on yourself, I don't think you should be able to bet against yourself. Put it that way. Like if guys want to gamble on themselves, by all means, like I don't see an issue with that. Because all they're doing is like if they lose the game, then they lose the bet. You know what I mean? Type deal. Um, but just for the integrity of the sport, I get why they wouldn't. But to your point, man, there's so many other sports you could have bet on. It's November. You literally have basketball. You have college football. You've got hockey. I believe golf's going on at that time, right? Are they playing golf in
Yeah,
November?
yeah, all year they
It's
play in
cold as
golf all year
shit,
round,
but
but they
dude,
play in other. So
they
they
play in
play
more
they
tropical locale at that time.
tropical overseas. They play all. So there's always golf
Yeah,
going on, but there's
fights
not
going
always like
on. Fights.
fights, boxing, always boxing. There's, there's every college sport that you want to bet on that you can bet on.
Mm.
We try to look at college baseball. There's nothing in college baseball, but
I believe it was because it was
there's
super early on. I bet you we could
yeah.
bet now. Like it was like early. Like well, no, it wasn't that early. I guess.
No,
Continue. I'm
so,
sorry.
but like at the same time, like I mean, there's things that you can go bet on. You can go play blackjack. You can do all types of stuff. And like I get sports is different because you can kind of research it and plug it and play it or whatever. To me though, like man, like you had to know that somebody's gonna catch wind of it. I don't know how he got caught. But $1,500 to me is the juice isn't worth the squeeze. No matter,
100%.
I've got millions of dollars already. Okay, that's cool, but $10 million for anybody is a lot of money,
Yeah.
and to lose out on that is kind of ridiculous. And he, he tweeted out or whatever. He was like, "I'm gonna come back. It just means I'm gonna come back healthy or whatever." I get looking at it from a positive, but he's like, "It's not that big a deal. At $1,500, but." So you don't think you should get suspended for a year? That's crap because it may be. So we suspend you for a game or 6 games. The next guy goes, well, that wasn't that bad. I'm going to do 10 grand. And then the next guy's like, oh, he only got 6 games. Well, how
Hmm.
about I do 50 grand? And then it's like, oh, they've only been betting on their own teams. And then another guy's like, screw it, I'm going to bet against my team. And it's just this slope that happens when you're gambling on sports as a player,
Yeah.
coach, those types of things. I think that it's an unfair advantage that you would have over the bookies, over the I don't know the bookies, but over the odds makers, you have an unfair advantage over the people betting. And really, quite frankly, as a bettor, as somebody that if you're a gambler, it's super unfair to have a player betting because he has an advantage over you. I mean, it'd be like say you had a fantasy football league and you paid $1,000 to get into this league, and you had Calvin Ridley, and all of a sudden Calvin Ridley drops himself out of his lineup because he knows he's not playing, but you don't know that information, or you know that he's not going to get targeted. You don't know that information until the game starts, but he knows that information because he was in the play calling. He was in the strategic meeting, and he said he took time off of football, but he's still on the roster. Like he's inactive on the roster. It's not like they cut him, so he still has access to the team facilities. He still has that access that a normal person wouldn't have. So like I'm not saying like crucify him. Don't end his career. Don't like not let him go in the Hall of Fame if he gets there. But at the same time, you have to know that that's the consequence, and that's what it is.
There's got to be a point proven. Like especially right now with like the growth of like sports gambling right now, like it's legal. It's legal in more and more states, every month. Hopefully Texas is on the horizon soon. You guys got it out in Louisiana there, which is awesome. I love that they have the sports gambling, but to the point, like with it growing like it is, they've got to kind of put their foot down and make an example here. Yeah, I think this season is good. And let's also think about it too, like this way. We don't know what he exactly gambled on, right? And we also don't know it was only $1,500. He says $1,500.
Yeah, it could be way more.
But if you also think about how you got to think about how did the news come out about it only being $1,500? It came out in a response tweet because somebody was like, "Oh, he's got a gambling problem." He goes, "Hey, it was $1,500. Chill."
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Is he saying that just so that way to downplay it a little bit? Did he possibly go? I don't know very many like millionaires that are betting only $1,500 on a sporting event. You know what I mean?
And to that point though, like exactly, like he had to bet more because of what the risk was, right? Like
correct.
Like his risk is he has to know if I gamble and get caught, which is a highly likelihood. Because when they pay him out, what are they gonna Calvin Ridley? They're gonna be like, don't you play for them? And the unless he's just totally jacked up in the head, which he could be, but which maybe that's actually a thing, but like that risk reward doesn't make any sense. Zero sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think he had to bet more, to be honest with you.
I'm thinking like north of like $50,000 to $100,000.
Yeah, see, that would sound about reasonable. Yeah. Like, especially
I don't know anything, but I'm just saying that would make sense.
Yeah, I really don't think it is. I think it's more than what he said. I mean, obviously we don't know. This is pure speculation and guess.
It's like one of those half lies when you're like you tell the truth, but you like skew it to make it
make it look not as bad,
even though. Like I did it, I did it, but it was only $1,500 when really it was like 150,000. Just take a couple zeros off.
I stole from Walmart, but it was just this pack of gum. Like you know what I mean? Like kind of something like that.
Yeah.
When really you loaded up a PS5 up in the backpack or whatever and walked out. I mean, I think it's crazy. Obviously though, like any chance of him coming back this season from his mental health is now out. And to be honest, he could be suspended longer than the season. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's just this 1 year." He can petition the league to come back after the year. That does not mean he's coming back. Like they could decide no, because right now it's an indefinite suspension, and then he can petition to come back. Now, more than likely, there will be a path back. While what he did was awful, Roger Goodell did, commend him on coming in promptly for an interview on it, basically being cooperative, admitting to it, doing basically just and I do commend him for that. I mean, like you see a lot of these guys that go out and they screw up, and you see them start creating this pound of lies and all this mess to get out of it. Like I will say the one like plus and good thing that I do see on like Calvin Ridley's side here, he manned up, and he took
Yeah,
his
yeah,
lick, right? And he took,
yeah.
and moved on. He didn't get any. He may have had other people involved in it because you got to think about it. Like to your point, like when they're going like, oh, payout, Calvin Ridley, like who at a sports book goes to look at a payout and doesn't go, oh, who Calvin Ridley, like
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
even
Like,
like
and the yeah,
if you're a sports fan, and I would assume that I know that people that work at sports books are not necessarily always sports fan. I know I'm painting that with a broad brush here, but you would assume that a good amount of them know who Calvin Ridley is. So
and
that
like
means that he's probably got other friends, though. And I'm saying this, maybe people were putting the bets down for him. That could be how he was getting away with it, stuff like
that's
that.
what I was thinking.
So
Why not do that?
kudos to him on if that was the case, if he did have other people involved. You don't hear shit about that. He's taking his lick and he's moving on. I hope they reinstate him after the year. Give him his punishment and move on. But
Yeah, yeah.
it
No, I'm with you.
yeah. But speaking of receivers, though, man, we'll kind of move along here. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's gone. That means that that's going to be a hole in the Falcons roster with the many holes that they have. But the one hole
Yeah,
specifically will be the receiver position. And big news on the horizon over the weekend. Dallas Cowboys rumored to be shopping trades for Amari Cooper, and then as of today, possibly even looking to release him if no
yeah,
trade is found.
yeah.
As a Cowboys
It's
fan, how do you feel about that, man? Because like me as a Packers fan, like if we lose our number one receiver, Devontae Adams, I'm not happy about that, especially because we're a little bit different situation. We have the ability to franchise tag all that right now, but Cooper's in contract right now, but he's looking at a big hit on the salary cap.
yeah. Yeah, I love Amari Cooper. I think he's an awesome player. He runs great routes, catches the ball well. He's perpetually hurt throughout the season. He always has some sort of hamstring or whatever. Um, at the same time, it says breaking news, but it's kind of been on the radar for a while. Looking at his contract, looking at the Cowboys cap situation, um, it and they're talking about giving Michael Gallup a contract. I think $10 million a year is what they're looking at,
Mm-hmm.
or $12 million or something like that. Maybe more. I might be off a little bit,
Yeah.
but uh, CD Lamb's on the roster. Cedric Wilson, if they re-sign him, he probably shouldn't go for too much money. If they get Dalton Schultz back, which I think they might franchise tag him, all's not lost if they get rid of Amari Cooper. Now they save. I think he's like commanding like $20 million a year. I think they save like $16 million if they
Yep.
cut him. Why not just go ahead and offload that contract and get something for it? I don't know if they will. I know there's a lot of teams that would like to have first chance at Amari Cooper, especially like not having a receiver position. Like first people that come out to my mind are the Patriots, the Colts, the Falcons now, maybe like a team like the Raiders. So, I mean, I don't know if he would go back to the Raiders. I don't know if the Raiders want him, but
Mm-hmm.
teams like that would need a receiver,
Yeah.
especially like a second he's the first option wherever he goes. But I'm not upset about it. Like if we had trash receivers, I would be kind of upset. But with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and I think they want to make CeeDee Lamb a premier anyways. So just go ahead and do it. So quit toting down the line. And they're talking about Demarcus Lawrence leaving as well, and he already said it. I'm not taking a pay cut. It's like, okay, well, hit the road. We've got Michael Parsons. We've got Randy Gregory. We want to re-sign. Like, all's not lost. You've been hurt the
Mm-hmm.
past two seasons anyways. I like Demarcus Lawrence. I think he's a great player, but there's always a writing on the wall. These guys are injury prone, and it's not like one major injury like Achilles or like a knee, and then they're back and they play. It's like, okay, you've got a hamstring, now you got an ankle, now you got a knee, now you got an elbow, now you got a concussion. It's like some dudes just have issues, and they're not they're weak or whatever, but they're just injury prone. And I like Amari. I think he's an awesome dude. I think he's super nice, but I think it is what it is. The Cowboys always had the tendency to hold on to those players for too long and ride their contracts out. And I think that if they get something for them, if they get like a corner and a third round pick, I'm happy. Move on.
Yeah, I definitely I agree with you definitely on the Amari Cooper side of your take there. I mean, I he could very well. You'd mentioned the Raiders, and you're like, if he goes back there, you have to think the Raiders are very much a different team now. They have a different coach at this point.
Quarterback
Quarterback's still the same, but
was Derek Carr back? He was, yeah.
Derek Carr's been the QB there for a minute, but I mean, you think about it. The reason why him and Gruden didn't, vibe well, was because Gruden was racist. No, I'm just playing. It was because Gruden. Yeah, it was because Gruden was very like high tempo. You know what I mean? He was boom, boom, boom.
Amari's very like,
Cooper's not that. Yeah, Amari Cooper is not that. So I mean, possibly go back there, but to your point, like if they release him, like you save so much money, and let's face it, $20 million is what he would be hitting your cap for. Has Amari Cooper? He's performed well at times. But has he performed $20 million well? I think the answer to that question is no, due to consistency issues. He'll pump out 100, 150 yards in a game, but then he'll go 40 yards for the next 5 games before he does it again. So, he goes silent on the road a lot.
This is the first season he hasn't had a 1,000-yard season. It was really close.
Yeah.
I think like the 7 seasons he's played, he's had 1,000-yard seasons. Like he's one of the 6 receivers at the age of 28, before the age of 28, to amass 7,000 yards. So I mean, like, it's not that he doesn't produce, but like you said, he goes silent in some games, and he's like, "Give me the ball, give me the ball." He's like, "Yeah, get open, bro. Like you're the best route runner. Get open."
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily that he doesn't produce. It's not consistently done. He has these big explosive games, and then he has these other games where, and I've had him in fantasy, so I can speak to this completely. Is like you're like. You have this killer game, and then next thing you know, the next 3 weeks, he doesn't do shit for you.
You got 5 receptions for 45
and you got to think about it too. How much of those 7,000 that he amassed there that you were talking about, how much of that whenever he was with, previous teams, things like that. I'm more so talking about it. The NFL is definitely a what have you done for me lately, and I think
this past season was not good.
I don't think he's done enough lately to warrant $20 million a year. Now, what will happen though is he is a number 1 receiver, and so the only way I see the Cowboys keeping him is if he's willing to restructure his deal and take less money, which would never happen. Why would you do this? You're a number 1 receiver right now. To your point, you named off a couple teams. Other teams that I was thinking of as you're naming them off, you also have Jacksonville. They need receiver.
Denver.
The Giants, Denver.
Washington, everybody needs them.
Basically, everybody needs receivers right now. I mean, except
for the Bengals.
But there is a market for them, right? So, I mean, I don't foresee him staying. Now, on the other side of the ball, you'd alluded to Demarcus Lawrence possibly hitting the road, and I don't know if I'd want to see Demarcus Lawrence out the building. Now, don't get me wrong, they can probably bring Micah Parsons up and let him, edge rush a little bit as well. You got Randy Gregory on the other side as well, as long as he stays. Which, speaking of health too, go back to the Cooper, something I forgot as well. People worry about the durability a little bit of Cooper, but you praise Gallup though, who's gotten hurt recently as well. So I mean, you have to worry about that with him too. But I don't think Gallup's going to end up being the number 1 in this situation when it's all said and done.
It's CD,
right?
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going with. Yeah.
I think we'll find out what kind of player CD Lamb really is without Amari Cooper there to take away from him.
So Gallup, the thing about Gallup is he has less like nagging injuries and more like hardcore, like, okay, he tore his ACL, he's out.
Yeah.
Whereas like Cooper's like, I've got a hamstring this week, so I'm gonna play 40% of the snaps. I've got a hamstring, I've got a knee, it's not, and like, good on him trying to play, but Jesus.
Amari Cooper's injuries sound like the kid that like when you're like growing up playing sports, that's like always trying to find the excuse like not to practice. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I was on the cross country team. I was not necessarily a distance runner, if you get what I'm saying. Like I was there, I participated. I was there because my friends were on it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But like I was that person. I would be like, my shin splints, they're killing me. Like, can I get on the bike or whatever the case may be? It's what Cooper's injuries kind of seem like.
And don't get me wrong, love the guy. He's a great player. Always like watching him play. Like he comes up clutch sometimes, but I think that the Cowboys are like shifting their offense,
Yeah.
and I think that they want to make CeeDee Lamb more premier.
Hmm.
And it's easier to like Michael Gallup's going to get his 5 catches, probably in the end zone a lot of the times, and they want CeeDee Lamb to be that premier receiver, and Cedric Wilson is good enough to be that other guy as well. And they run CD out of the slot, out of the X, out of the Y, and so like moving him around and having Cedric Wilson, and then they've got a few guys coming up. And there's a big receiver draft class coming up again. The 2 Ohio State guys are incredible. They've got options, and I think if they're able to either pick up a tight end in free agency, which there's a lot of tight ends out there right now, or keep Dalton Schultz and then go get a guy in the draft class. I think that they could shape up pretty well. And to your point on Demarcus Lawrence, you know, the reason why they paid him so much is because it's hard to find good pass rushers. But Demarcus Lawrence, like when they signed his contract, he was awesome. And then like the last 2 years, he's disappeared in games. Like they're like, oh, he's being doubled or whatever. Well, so was Micah Parsons, and he was still getting to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's like his drive. Like he's a great defensive end, but for the amount of money, I don't know they can home grow somebody better.
Yeah.
And if you notice, the Cowboys, they really didn't get a lot of sacks. I mean, they got a decent amount of sacks. I mean, obviously Micah Parsons got 13. That was awesome, but like they're a more of a turnover driven team. They want to get turnovers. They want to force fumbles. They want to intercept the ball. That's like their basis of their offense. They're not the Aaron Donald slash, Von Miller slash, Joey Bosa over at the Chargers or Nick Bosa. They're not that type of defense. They're a defense that's gonna make you throw at them, and it's good to have good pass rushers in that type of defense. Don't get me wrong, but for $20 million a year, is it good? And we've got the Cowboys. They love these big contracts, and like, when's the last time you saw the Patriots sign a giant contract for somebody?
Correct.
Like for example, they already said they're probably not. I mean, they haven't yet, so we can't assume. We have like 24 hours so we figure it out. But the Patriots are going to get rid of Kyle Van Noy. They already cut him. He's a great linebacker. And then they're not going to franchise tag J.C. Jackson, which we don't know yet, right? But it's assumed that J.C. Jackson's gone, and he was one of the best corners in the league. And they had Stephon Gilmore was the best receiver in the league, and they got rid of him. And I'm not saying the Patriots are right now the premier team, but I think they are. They lost their best quarterback and still made the playoffs, So it makes sense, right? Like, why are we going to spend all this money on these dudes for these long-term contracts? And they don't play the same. How about you get a guy that's been good, get him on a year contract, and let him play for a new contract? Those guys seem to play a lot better, and just do that year to year, man. There's always somebody out there that's kind of washed up that needs a contract, and he's going to go out there and ball. And I mean, that's what the Rams did this year. They went and got Odell Beckham, and they went and got Von Miller and Von Miller may not even return. So it's like the mentality of these long giant contracts, except for the quarter, you gotta solidify the quarterback position. But then, like, why not just let somebody roll off of a franchise tag, or why not let somebody pick somebody up that used to be awesome and they kind of got whatever in their team, and now they're just chilling out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Demarcus Lawrence on there. I know that you talk about his sack total and everything like that, and the ability to rush the passer. And honestly, I think he's had one of his better years this past year when he was healthy, that he's had in a long time, which is, I think, a good sign for him. My thing is though is like I feel like a lot of people, everybody's focusing in on like sack totals. But they forget what Demarcus Lawrence is the best at, and he's the best at also snubbing out the run. No other end is setting the edge like he is at that point, right? And you have to think about it. What teams made it deep in the playoffs? What teams didn't? The teams that made it were the ones that could run the ball. You need somebody that's going to be able to set that edge for you, so that way you can control the run game, force some of these teams to pass, so then you can then do what you're talking about, get your takeaways with Trayvon Diggs and all them.
They did. So that's fine, and they did decent against the run this year, except when it mattered.
Hmm. He
Um,
just seems like he fits Dan Quinn's personnel
yeah,
perfect.
but
And
but but the money, man,
yeah,
that's the problem. Is like I'm not saying he's a bad defensive
yeah.
end. I like him. I just
I
don't
mean,
know
what
if
kind of
he's
cap hit is he looking at? I don't know his cap hit like I do Amari's.
it's a lot. Hold on, I'll look it up right
Here,
now. I got you. I
okay.
got it pulled up. Um, he including okay, so he's a 5 year, $105 million.
Yeah, yeah, but like how much of that is like hitting the cap
Well,
and everything
well,
like
that's
that?
what I'm pulling up.
Because I mean, as far as things go, like
So,
the $105 million, Jerry's got that shit.
well, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not worried about the. I mean, I'm not worried about the money with
It's
him
the
with
cap
Jerry,
issue,
but
but
it's
yeah,
the cap issue. It says 8 million if they cut him, but his cap hit is probably much higher than
it's
that.
probably north of 20, I would assume.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to see him stay, and there's nothing saying that they're going to cut him. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
They
they're
could
like
always look at
his first guy.
restructuring, maybe give him more guaranteed,
He
like a
he
signing bonus
he,
type shit to where it
and
doesn't
that
hit
and
the cap as hard. And that
that's what
would be
I'm
the way
thinking.
I think they do that with him, but I don't foresee him doing that with Cooper.
No, I think Cooper's gone. I think that Cooper's twofold. I think it's the cap, and that's an easy out. And
Hmm.
then they want to premiere CD Lamb, and it's easier when he's gone, so they can premiere CD Lamb. You saw that this year, like he was kind of complaining about touches and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and I think Dak is involved more with the decision making. I know he had mentioned something about it, but you can kind of see like Dak loved throwing to Michael Gallup because Michael Gallup was a big receiver that went up for the ball, and then CD he likes throwing to CD Lamb, and they're looking at signing Michael Gallup to a big contract. So
Hmm.
um, Michael Gallup just has to stay healthy, and I think he's a great receiver. He's just got to stay healthy, and
Yep.
I think the biggest thing for the Cowboys though is that tight end position is that safety net, and um, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
with receivers, like I mean, like you think about Devonte Adams, him and
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers have had a great relationship over the past 7 years or something
Yeah.
like that.
Something like that.
And they've built that camaraderie. But Devonte Adams is a big, fast receiver that can run routes. Amari's a big, fast receiver, but he's not as dynamic as him. Michael Gallup has more of that physicality that Devonte Adams has,
Yeah.
and Devonte is going to get freaking franchise tag. They don't even want to sign him to a long-term contract.
Yeah.
So it's like
Well, the
to
biggest
me,
issue with Devontae, and it's not necessarily that they don't want, it's not that they don't want to sign Devontae, it's
it's
Devontae doesn't
Devonte
want
wants to go
to
with
sign
Aaron.
because he, like, let's face it, if, we can move on to the Aaron Rodgers conversation and
Yeah,
Devontae Adams and, get into that. Like, Devontae Adams, you have to think about it. Like, as a receiver, I mean, you can be a great receiver all day long, but it sucks if you don't have a good quarterback throwing to you. You've seen time and time again. Look at Odell Beckham. Like we were all criticizing him just a mere 3 months ago, and now he
yep.
looks like a genius for getting out from
His
you
dad
know
looks like a
yeah,
genius.
yeah, his dad, yeah. And Baker Mayfield's terrible. Like Baker Mayfield was so bad that there are literally memes right now that say that he's been drafted for World War III because it's their only chance at overthrowing Russia. Like I've seen memes that say that. And so
Oh
just to
my
just to
god.
paint the picture, look at how different though Odell Beckham played with Baker versus Matt Stafford. Do you think
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson, like Megatron was great, but also look at who he had thrown to him all that time. Like it's crazy to me that the Lions did not have more success when they had Matt Stafford and throwing to Megatron. Like how do
They
you? I mean,
they made
they
the
got
playoffs.
to the playoffs, but that was it from there. Like that team had such a huge opportunity right there, and they pissed it away. And now they don't want to pay him his money either. But this conversation is about Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, so we'll get back to that.
So
But
with Aaron
it
Rodgers,
comes down to quarterback for Devontae, though. I think.
well, and it's 100%. I mean, they talked about the last dance thing, but with Aaron Rodgers, and people are talking about, oh, he's selfish or whatever. It's like, let the man make his decision.
Hmm.
He doesn't have to make the decision right now. He can do whatever he wants. It's his life. But, for Devontae and Aaron Rodgers, if Rodgers decides, okay, I want to retire, whole different conversation. I think the Packers still franchise tag him, and he may hold out. You
Hmm.
know, um, and then Aaron is going to go do his thing or whatever. But like my feel is Aaron Rodgers is going to sign the contract with the Packers, and then they're gonna try it again.
Yeah.
I think that's his best opportunity to win. Now I think if he leaves, the number one place he's going to go is Denver. I just have that feeling. Kind of do the Peyton Manning thing. And I know Aaron Rodgers is probably thinking about it. He's seen Tom Brady leave, win a Super Bowl. He saw Matt Stafford leave, win a Super Bowl. He saw Peyton Manning leave, win a Super Bowl. So like maybe that's the thing, but I think Denver's got the defense to support, and I think you see the whole like cryptic message from Von Miller. Like, does Von Miller go back to Denver? He goes to Denver. This whole thing, but the big thing that nobody's talking about is the Packers have to have a trade with Aaron Rodgers, and what are the Packers going to require from whatever team decides to go for the trade? And Gutekunst is saying that that nobody's reached out, which I think is complete BS.
So that's what I was going to get to on that, dude. So Gutekunst, he's saying,
I don't know how to say his name.
I guess that's how you say it. To your point, it said, hey, there's like no trades or whatever. Like nobody's called. So that's definitely got to be bullshit. You hear Aaron Rodgers is up for it, and you don't go, hey, let me at least throw my hat in the ring. Even if you're not really serious about it, and you're still going to call him and go, hey, dude, I'll give you a 4th rounder, even though he'll say no.
Yeah.
Like
I'll give you 3 first rounds for the next 3 years. If he's gonna bring me,
the Falcons are calling him like, hey, dude, we'll give you the rights to Calvin Ridley whenever he comes off suspension.
And Matt Ryan, we'll give you Matt Ryan. You'll be a quarterback.
Like, dude. So people, there's no way the phone hasn't been ringing off the hook on it. Now,
so I got a question for you. What if you're the Packers? What would you take for Aaron Rodgers?
Not a damn thing.
Come on, get like something.
No, I get it. So, so with the trades, first, this is what I was gonna say. So Gutekunst saying there's no trades, right? From what I've heard, a lot of this shit is starting to go through like Aaron Rodgers' agent, possibly that they possibly have trades lined up that they think would be suitable. So. It sounds like maybe people just don't want to work with Gutekunst because maybe he's either wanting way too much or he's just playing hardball and like, no, we're keeping Aaron around. All right. Hypothetical, what would I take for Aaron Rodgers? What would I take for Aaron Rodgers? That's a tough question because there's not a lot that I would take over Aaron Rodgers because you have to hear me out here. So draft picks, right? So they're like, all right, I want first round draft pick. Okay, well, who's to say that is going to work out? Statistically speaking, draft picks bust more times than they don't. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, you got to think about all the people that have been drafted in the first round that have turned out to not be that great, right? I mean, so there's that issue, right? So it's like, why? Like, I got to take draft picks. So if I'm taking draft picks in exchange for them, because there's not really much else that you can take in exchange for them because the cap situation's so fucked. Now, the one good thing is it unfucks the cap situation a little bit when you offload his contract. So you can kind of maybe get some back, but I doubt they're looking for too many players back. And I'm sure if a team's trying to load up with Aaron Rodgers, they're not really willing to part way with any of their big pieces because they're looking to add to theirs, right? So trade-wise, you've got to give me a first and second for a minimum of the next 3 seasons. So that way I can at least try my hand at the draft. If 6 top 2 round picks don't get it done, then you got a problem with your front office. You got a problem with your scouting department, you got a problem with your front office, things like that. So I would say I need at least a first round and a second round pick for the next 3 years and a case of beer. And you got yourself a fucking
deal. So hear me out. So where have you seen this happen where it was successful? The entire 90s for the Cowboys. They traded Herschel Walker. Oh, by the way, they got Troy Aikman. Mm-hmm. They got Emmett. They got defensive pieces. They created their dynasty off of a trade from one player. So if I'm the Packers and I'm like, okay, you know what? Aaron's not happy. He's not going to retire. So if we keep him, he's going to sit on the damn bench and he's not going to get paid. He's not going to get paid, doesn't care. and we're going to have to play Jordan Love anyway. So might as well get something for it. So I would go 4 years of first-round draft picks for the next 4 years. I would say I want your quarterback, and it better be a team that's got a decent quarterback so that I can throw somebody in there in case Jordan Love sucks butt. And then also I'm going to throw in possibly an lineman, possibly a D lineman, something in the trenches. But those 4 first rounds for the next 4 years, so that now I have some draft capital that I can even trade and go get other pieces as well. I think that if, like, I know as a Packers fan, it's got to be like, oh, please don't trade him. He's been a 2-time MVP, 2 MVPs in a row, Super Bowl champ, all that stuff. But you also got to look at it. If it does happen and Aaron's not happy, you rather him trade than retire, because you're going to get something back for him. If he decides to leave and retires, you ain't getting shit. You're not getting a damn thing for him. Might as well let him trade and go play in the opposite and the AFC, because that seems like the most likely landing spot, and get something for him. Hopefully a lot of draft picks, hopefully some sort of key piece.
Yeah. Here's my thing that I worry about. It may have worked for the Cowboys in the 90s. You know who it has not worked for yet? Hasn't worked for Washington, the Commanders up there in the north. Dewey Haskins, 15th pick. We all seen what happened with him. But damn sure has not worked for Cleveland Browns. They've drafted, I just looked it up real quick. Now, these aren't all first-round picks, but they have drafted 31 quarterbacks since the year 2000.
But don't draft a quarterback.
Oh, I get it. I'm just saying, like, just in general, like, to the ones that have busted. Johnny Manziel, he big bust. Ryan Leaf, David Carr for the Texans. He was number 1 overall pick 2002. You know,
David Carr. Okay, so the problem is those teams drafted a quarterback thinking the problem was the quarterback, when really it was the entire team aspect. Like the Cleveland Browns are ran so poorly that they go and they think Madden. They're playing Madden. They went and got running back. They went and got receiver. They went and got quarterback. What are you missing? You're missing an O-line that can protect all that. You're missing a D-line that can protect all that. So they went and got Myles Garrett. They lost. Their best player retired. Joe Thomas retired. They still are not going after that O-line, and that's where you see, I think, Baker having issues because they can't protect his ass. Now, Baker's not the answer, I don't think, either. But also, you're talking about these players. David Carr was a bust. Okay, well, what happened to David Carr? David Carr played for a terrible, terrible, horrible Houston Texans team when they first came in the league. Like, they were so bad that.
But how good are the Packers really without Aaron Rodgers is the real question.
Yeah, but I mean, they have pieces. I think
he masks a lot of our bullshit.
Well, then that's what I'm saying is you go and you get draft picks, and you may not pick a quarterback. You may go get a quarterback that's a vet that can handle maybe for a season, and you start building pieces.
Yeah, I just don't know what quarterback you can go to. The quarterback market right now, it's not very good.
Rough.
To be honest with you, my favorite person in the quarterback market is Mitchell Trubisky, and
well, that's everybody. Yeah, and that's like, but what you would do is you would think about a team. You would think about a team that maybe has a decent court, like say Tennessee. Throw Ryan Tannehill in there.
Yep.
In that trade and give me draft picks. I don't think the Titans are going to be at all a factor, because they said they're like we like Tannehill, but
I would say that too until the deal's done. I mean, let's be honest. Could you imagine Aaron Rodgers in a backfield with Derrick Henry? You hand the ball off to Derrick Henry 20 times, and then you play action, and Aaron Rodgers just bombs it.
My whole thing with it, though, is I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's 3 options for Aaron: stay, retire, or be traded.
Yeah.
The worst option for the Packers is retirement,
because they get nothing out of it.
They get 0 out of it. A cap benefit, cool. A trade is the second best option for them. Mm-hmm. So might as well get what you can get for the trade. Yeah. And because what happens if you don't trade him and he's like, I don't want to stay here, I'm done. Mm-hmm. You run into an issue of dude's gonna sit on the bench, he's gonna eat your cap, and you're gonna have Jordan Love anyways. Might as well trade his
I'm just gonna
ass, get
say
something
this
for him.
all could have been avoided. Could have been avoided had they not drafted Jordan Love when they
Mm,
did. You know how many good players were on the board? Receivers we
yeah,
could have got, offensive
yeah,
linemen we could have got,
yep.
defensive players we could have got. We could have improved the defensive line that has struggled to stop the run in the past however many seasons. They
Think
played
about
really
this.
good this last season, but I just don't understand why we would get rid of a certainty for, like I said, but we've got to go into this with clarity. The front office can't sit there and bullshit around with Aaron Rodgers and be like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And when he tells them what they want to do, not follow through on it.
Yeah,
If he comes in and says, "I want to be traded," they've got to do it. I don't want him to do it. But to your point, at that point he goes, "Fuck you," and I'll retire, and then you get nothing, right? So there's that part of it. The second part of it is I I believe the honorable thing to do at this point would be to honor whatever Aaron Rodgers' requests are, because let's face it, he's spent what 17 seasons with this team now. He's brought us a Super Bowl. He's won back-to-back MVPs, now 4 MVPs. Which by the way, he surpassed Tom Brady on that. So if we want to talk about individual accolades in that conversation, I just want to throw that out there. But so he's got 4-time MVP. You know, he's paid his dues here, right? And at the end of the day, when we could have kept gearing up after an MVP season for him, we go out and draft his replacement, who now we're not even sure is going to be his replacement because he's not progressed well at all. And we pissed him off in the process. Well, when we went and did that and we made him mad, we got him to come back for this last season under the condition of, hey, come back, play this season. We will honor your request next offseason. He gave you an MVP caliber season just off of your word. You know what I mean? If you ever want to attract a major free agent back to Green Bay, you will honor your word there. And if he says he wants to go, you'll get him out of there. I don't want him to do that. I hope he comes back and says, I want to play. Because
yeah.
I do not
I
like the
mean,
future with Jordan Love at all.
I think he's going to um, play for the Packers or he will retire.
I
That's
agree.
my two. I don't think he's going to go play for
I
anybody
agree.
else.
I agree.
But
I think the Packers are going to go back on their word a little bit, and that's what's going to upset me a little bit on this whole situation, is because I think he is going to probably come in and say, "Hey, I want out of Green Bay." They're not ever going to get trade compensation that they feel is worth it, because like, think about how I'm sitting here right now. Like, I'm like, you got to give me your top 6 picks for the next 3 seasons, basically, and
here you go. I got a trade for you.
like it just,
This would be the best trade.
who would take these deals on Aaron Rodgers, you know?
Hear me out. So Cleveland Browns call. They say, "Hey, we
The
got an offer.
Browns.
We'll give you 2 first-round picks, second-round pick for this year, and we'll give you Myles Garrett and Baker Mayfield. What do you do?" That's a good
I
trade.
like Myles Garrett, and it is a good trade. It is a good trade. I like Myles Garrett a lot. Um,
I
I
mean,
like.
Baker may not be the best, but if he has a decent offensive line and he's got Devontae to throw to, I mean, who
Uh,
knows? I mean,
I mean,
but
if they
I
came knocking with that one, I'm probably still gonna say no. Just Baker throws it off for me, man. Like, I like the
get
Myles Garrett.
get.
I like the draft picks.
I
Baker
just
to
think you
me
need a
is a cancer.
quarterback.
I don't think Baker's a leader of his team.
Okay, that's fair.
And you,
All right, I'm trying to think. What about you got Jimmy G on the board, right? He's chilling out there and he's chilling. You don't want to take him.
negative, dude. I've one for 2 reasons. One, I don't think he's that good. I think he relies on his run game too much. And two, I've been dragging Jimmy G through the mud for the past 2 months.
Yeah.
It'd be very hypocritical if I said we can take him in Green Bay. I've been dragging him.
I got one for you. Here you go. What about Kyler Murray? So you say Kyler Murray, he doesn't want to be in Arizona, right? So
Yeah,
trade. We'll give you 3 first-round draft picks, Kyler Murray, and we'll throw in a defensive lineman or offensive lineman. No?
You had me at the 3 first rounders and Kyler Murray. To be honest, I would take that one because Kyler Murray's young. He's he plays the new style that the NFL's going towards. He is everything that Jordan Love wishes he was that we drafted. When we drafted Jordan Love, we had the expectations that he would be playing very, very similar quality and productivity of
But
Kyler Murray.
the reason why that won't ever happen is because Aaron will retire before he goes to Arizona.
Yeah, true. I don't foresee him going to Arizona on that. But I mean, I would take that one. But the only thing that I worry about with Kyler Murray in that situation, though, is Kyler Murray's being a little rich boy right now. You know what I mean? Like
He
he's
is. He is.
like, dude,
I
like
have a lot of respect for him.
yeah, man, like, dude, like, there's a way to go about things, and there's a way to not go about things, and I've always been more of a traditional approach to things. I think you should treat those that you're dealing with business wise with respect. And
So
I mean,
he-
when I say that, I don't mean let them walk all over you, but I don't mean fucking take all your shit off your social media and then post the letter that you basically wrote to the team saying you wanted to trade on Instagram. Like, why would you throw that up? Like, dude, like, if you
or
want to
I
get
want
out, get
give
out.
me $50 million a year. Like,
Yeah.
hear me out. Is it and here's a good segue for you. Is it better for Kyler Murray to just say football's done? I'm gonna go play for the Oakland A's and go play some baseball.
So it would be
And
great
then you
if
get
he could
into the
play
lockout,
baseball. It would
and then you
be,
get into the lockout.
yeah.
Which, by the way, the lockout, they came out with some interesting things recently, and Joey Gallo is actually trending on Twitter because of it. They're going to get rid of the shift.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
It's huge, and I hate this shit so much, man. I love baseball, and I am very much a purist in the sport of baseball. The only thing that I'll say that I'm not like super like purist on is I do like the replay rules. I do like the getting the calls right, things like that. What I don't like is people wanting to put fucking pitch counts on. There's not a shot clock. This is not basketball.
You mean a pitch clock?
Yeah, whatever it is, a shot clock for the pitcher, basically, is what it is. You have that. You have banning the shift. Dude, that is strategy at its finest. That's like telling an NFL team, hey, you're going to play the Titans, who Ryan Tannehill is not that great, but you got Derrick Henry, who's a beast. You're only allowed to bring 3 rushers every play. Like, what?
But football is
you're taking
football's a completely different sport.
But you're taking the tactic out of it. And then same with this, you're taking the strategy out of it. Hey, Joey Gallo, I love you, man. You're a Ranger for a long time, one of my favorite Rangers of the most recent times. Mad that we traded you to New York. However, you don't want people to shift to you. Stop pulling the ball every fucking time you come at the bat. Hit opposite field for once.
Yeah.
If the ball's pitched outside, hit it to the opposite field. If
they're shading back on you, then hit the ball short.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you weren't Happy Gilmore driving the ball 500 feet every time you stepped up to the plate, they wouldn't put a shift on because you're going a home run or bust. And for you to go home run and bust, you've got to pull the ball every time. Nobody's going to go home run or bust hitting oppo,
Unless you're Vladimir Guerrero, but
yeah, which is completely different. It just freaks of nature, both him and his dad. But like,
that's what I'm talking about. His dad.
Oh, I mean, you never can tell. They're both phenomenal, But dude, like the banning the shift. I think that to me, it's just there's strategy that's involved with it. You're shading. That's also okay. Cool. Like if you got a speedster up that can bunt for singles all the time, are you gonna tell tell them that they can't also pull the corners up in those situations? Are you also going to ban the double play depth because that's technically a shift of the infield? What is a shift? What's considered where you're actually supposed to play? I played second base growing up. It was a general vicinity I was in, but I didn't always stand in the exact same place. It depended on who was up. We looked at scouting reports, would shade over a little bit. If we're playing a double play depth, if we got the corners up, I'm a little bit more off, The
only thing I like about it in the outfield, and I understand
I hate
where
it.
baseball is coming from. I don't like it. I don't like the decision, right?
Yeah.
But I do understand why baseball is doing it. I think it's specific to the outfield. I'm not 100% sure though. Is for offensive production. What sells tickets? Offense. And baseball did a lot better last year. I think it's coming off of COVID. They're trying to keep that momentum. I hate the pitch clock. Like you're gonna go to a baseball game, you know it's gonna be 4 hours. Just
You
let
go
it
to a
ride.
baseball game and you bought tickets, clear your damn schedule. Like, come on,
Yeah,
man. Like, you know what you're getting into.
my whole thing is like, okay, I'm not a big fan of that. And then they were talking about making the bases bigger, which I don't really understand. Whatever. I'm sure it'll help steals and stuff like that. But everything that the MLB is doing is gearing towards offense
Yep.
because it allows them to sell tickets.
Same
Here's a
thing the
thought.
NBA did.
Here's a thought. Just allow them to take steroids. It was awesome to watch. They hit home runs like out there,
Yeah.
like, and that was like one of the best baseball eras, like 95 to
100%.
2004. Like, great to watch. Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, just Ken Griffey wasn't on steroids, but still hitting bombs. Like, that was great. Like, if you want offense to get better, let the offense get better.
Yeah.
Like,
I
just get better.
I hate that
Tell
what
your
they're putting in these rules to like try and boost offensive production. I hate to break it to people. Baseball's never been a high scoring sport, you know? Like it's a 5-6 run game for each team maybe
it's
sometimes.
the
Some I
problem
get some
is
of them there's 2-1 games, 1-0 games, things like
those are
that.
the best baseball games to watch
Hell
for
yeah, they
baseball
are. If you
purists.
if you if you like baseball, those are fun to watch. We went to when Michael Young's number got retired for the Rangers. We went to that game, and dude, the Rangers were down, and I looked at my wife because his kid was getting tired, and I was like, "Hey, if we're still down by 2 at the end of the 8th inning, we'll go ahead and get out of here." There was like an Oregon Auburn game going on at Jerry World next door. We're trying to beat the traffic. Well, like Elvis Andrews still's home on a pass ball, and they took it to the review, end up calling him safe because they called him out originally. Review it, call him safe. Crowd's going nuts. It was electric. I looked at her. I said, "Sorry, we're gonna stay for the last inning," And the Rangers ended up winning. Like it was such a great game, and it was a close game. It wasn't high scoring, and it just kind of how it goes. Trevor Bauer, man, I love his takes on a lot of this stuff. What's funny to me is we're doing all this stuff to boost offense and things like that, but like I like him because he also goes for like when they're, limiting pitchers and stuff like that, sometimes he does support the rules on it. But like with the like substance rule, like he's been like real big
Yeah,
on that. But
yeah.
but I like what he was saying. Like he had tweeted out earlier today. He said, also, we're adopting slow pitch softball rules. If you hit a home run, it's an out. Now I can finally get Tatis Jr. out. Like,
He's great. Like my whole thing with it is this all this drives is just the they want revenue, right? So we get that, but it's also like the generations that are coming up. They're like, okay, who's not watching baseball? It's like young people, 20s, early 20s, late teens, whatever. It's because they're all based on this instant gratification. We're in that generation too, and 2 minutes for a hot pocket, or
correct.
like 10 minutes for DoorDash food, and TikTok. I can watch a clip of something. I don't need to watch the whole video, and I think that's where everything is going to. So baseball is like kind of anti that
Mm-hmm.
because you're watching a 9 inning game for 3 good plays that's going to get you fired up. It's worth it, but nobody wants to sit through that
Right.
because it's so long. I'm not saying nobody. I do.
Yeah.
I love it.
The,
I mean,
the
obviously,
generation coming up is the biggest. To your point, is the
and
biggest issue with
and
that.
and the problem is if baseball doesn't do anything to progress, it's gonna die.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see that happen. And like I get it, like the shift is something that we've used since we were kids. Like, hey, like we got a big dude, we don't really know much about him, but we know he can hit the ball a long way. Let's shade back, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And like you said, the infield moving for double plays and whatever. And you got guys that are butting the ball, the third baseman, first baseman come
Yeah.
up, all that stuff. But like,
I think they're more so just banning like the heavy pull shifts, things like
yep,
that.
yep.
But
I think they can
I
move,
was more
but
so just making a point. I want to clarify that. I was more so just making a point of like where does it stop at the once
Yeah.
you ban that shift? What's the next shift you ban?
Absolutely, and that's absolutely correct. But the great thing about this is, if it doesn't work, you can always go back, and you can always take rules off and go back to the way it was. And I think the NBA is kind of run into that too, where they got rid of hand checks, so the offense got better. Well, now people are like, well, the offense is fine, but they don't play defense, and they see a team that plays good defense, like, oh, it's actually kind of fun to watch, and it kind
Mm-hmm.
of goes in these cycles. And the NFL did the same thing, but the NFL's was based on physical safety, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, we get rid of hits to the head or whatever, or we get rid of roughing the pass. We protect the quarterback at all costs. Well, now guess what the NFL's doing? They're going to review roughing passer calls.
Mm-hmm.
The ability to review roughing the passer calls, which I think is great. Like, a dude lands on the quarterback and his momentum, he's 6'4", 275 pounds. He's not going to be able to just stop and not hit the quarterback. And I'm glad they're adjusting fire. And that's the thing, is like, this isn't our government, right? They don't have a voting. I mean, they do have the PA and they have all those things, but things can get adjusted back and quicker than people think. If something's not working and it's hurting ratings, they can move that stuff back. And the great thing about the NFL that they're doing is they're going to utilize the XFL next year to test rules out and to test things, which I think is great. And the MLB should do more of that. And I know they've done it a little bit with the minors, but they should really, let's ban the shift and see how it works.
Try it at the minor
Minors.
league level, yeah, or
Right.
do it somewhere down there first. See where it's
And
going.
then
But
see, yeah.
here's my thing: is like they're doing all this because they're like, oh, we got to save baseball. Baseball is dying. How is baseball dying? And you're paying Mike Trout $426 million over the course of his contract. That don't sound like it's dying to me. That sounds like the owners are making good money and they just want to make even better money.
They're greedy.
They're greedy as fuck and they're gonna kill it. This is my thing. This is they can make whatever rule changes they want, and this is why I think what really is like the decline in baseball and as far as like viewership goes. I don't think it's ever going to completely die because there's always going to be a market for it, but it's just how big is that market? Is the market going to shrink to the size of like how hockey is? Like it's a good market, but let's face it, like the league, like you literally have people on the Stars roster that are getting paid like $800,000 a year, and they're a NHL everyday roster player. So anyway, but you got these guys making that kind of money. I think the reason why the viewership's going to go down is back to your point about the instant gratification with the kids. I think it's with the youngest generation, like with my daughter's generation, and like maybe even like our brother's generation that are like maybe teenagers, things like that. Is they grew up, like you said, with everything boom, 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 ready to go. I think why do you get into watching baseball? Generally because you've played it at some point or another, some point, right? I think the thing is baseball is not a sport that you just pick up and go unless you're just a freak athlete. There's a couple of them. I know I went to high school with a kid. He played every sport. He could pick up a golf club, drive it 300 feet. He could pick up a baseball bat, hit it over the fence. He was our quarterback on the football team. He played basketball. He did it all, right? That doesn't happen often. To be good at baseball, you have to continuously work at it and work at it. It's so technical. It's so fundamental on every single aspect you're doing. And I don't think kids of today's generation
have the patience
to do it. Dude, I know it's T-ball and they already got a short attention span, but sometimes I lose them at practice, man. And we're only out there for an hour, and I sometimes lose them after 25, 30 minutes. I don't think it's going to completely die out because you do have the kids that are still, into it. I've got like the team I have, like it's about half and a half. Half the kids stay engaged the entire time because they're super interested in doing it. And then the other half, they stay engaged for a little bit. But if there's a cool plane that flies by, I've lost them. You know what I mean?
Me too, though.
And so, yeah. Yeah. And so, like, but I think that's some of it. I think that's why we'll see a decline in it is because of that. And I think some of it has to do with the parents too. Parents don't want to be patient enough to get out there and go play catch. Because to be honest with you, when I first started playing catch with my daughter, it was a lot of I'm throwing the ball and I felt like I was playing fetch. I'd throw it, she'd miss it, she'd go get it, she'd throw it back, more than likely not in my direction, so I'd have to go get it. And it just built over time. I mean, it takes a minute before they actually can comprehend what they're doing. It's not an
But
easy sport. There's a lot of thought that goes into it.
and the biggest threat to sports, I think, in general, is esports. I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of these kids grow. And I'm not saying you can't do both, but I think that there's a shift. And I was hearing somebody talk about it one time, but um, just the general child going outside and doing something physical
Mm-hmm.
is on the decline, right? So when that happens, we're in big trouble when it comes to pro sports
Yeah.
with just viewership.
And that's what's happening right now, just because dude, like it's not like when we were kids where you could just go out and hey, come in when the street light comes on type deal. Like you've got to worry about stuff. Like I mean, it, I believe statistically speaking, like stuff happening to kids is not happening any more frequently per se than it used to. It's just more so we're more hyper aware to it.
We're aware of it.
And due to that hyper awareness, like nobody's letting their kids go out. Like I mean, I don't let my kid run around out front by herself. Like, hell no, you're out of your mind. I barely let her go to the backyard by herself.
But even a 16-year-old that you go do your thing.
True, yeah,
They're
you're
not
right.
going like when I was, and I sound like one of those old timers, but when I was a kid,
We're
when I was
boomers.
12, 14, 15 years old, we were going to the local
Yeah,
park and playing basketball.
correct. All
You
day.
go to those parks now, there's nobody at those
Mhm.
parks.
Correct.
There's nobody out playing. Actually, my neighborhood, there's a few houses where a bunch of kids play football and stuff, which is great to see.
Mhm.
But the level, like all of us were like on our bikes. We're like a little bike gang. We were driving our bikes around, playing baseball. We'd go buy a wooden bat because we thought we were cool,
Yep.
and and hit balls and stuff like that. And then we would be outside constantly. Now in the Texas summer in the heat, like sometimes like
You'd be all right.
if you're outside, you're going to the pool typically, but like
Yeah.
you don't see that as often, and I think it's just, and it's not because I don't think kids don't like activity, but I think it's their activity now is sports, or not sports but games online, and that's the difference between us and them is we didn't
100%.
have an online aspect.
Correct.
It was coming on when I was in high school, but like it was not that good. So
Correct.
I would spend some time playing, but like it wasn't so prevalent. Now you can make millions of dollars playing esports.
Yep.
And like even talking to your brother, he's got a jersey
Yeah.
for the esports team.
He could tell you everything about the esports teams, and he can't tell you a single thing about like he'll watch like some like non esports stuff like whenever when we're hanging out, just if it's on. He is not interested though. Like and that's a lot of his generation, but he can tell you about the team here. Like, and what's funny though is like these kids, they get mad at like losses like we do when it comes to like NFL. Like, dude, so the team that he followed, I think was like the Dallas Empire, was like a Call of Duty team. And I think I mean, I could be completely wrong here. Luckily, we don't have a lot of viewers that can rip me up for it. But like, or unfortunately, shall I say, not lucky. But I think they did like a merger with the Chicago team, and he was like, "No, we don't have a team," and da 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 da. Like he was, my dad said he was pissed, bro, like mad about it. And so like, I mean, so it's funny to see him, but like it. To your point, like it's a lot better now to play online than it used to be. And we used to go outside and hang out with our friends. Like now that the move is to play video games with your friends online. You can talk to them online. You hang out. I mean,
well, and I use that. I mean, I live away from my friends, so
I mean that's how we hang out and talk all the time. But just because we're always we play video games, and it's.
But I'm still going out and I'm playing basketball for intramurals. I'm go to jiu-jitsu or go do those things because I'm still a physical being. And that's the thing is like, that's what scares me about the metaverse is if that thing becomes legit, because right now it's stupid and it's like memojis and stuff, but like
Wally predicted the future, bro.
Dude, in that Ready Player One,
you know what I'm talking about, the movie Wally?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Wally. All I know, all fat people
all the fat people just in there floating.
But like if that becomes legit and it's like legit graphics like Ready Player One, I think sports will be dead.
Well, yeah, because I mean at that point, like you can
everything's online.
Well, why do
just
you can go?
I personally.
I don't think I think I'll be one of those old people too.
Like get your damn headset off. No, I'll
I'm gonna be the guy when I'm
I
60 is asking my grandkids, tell me again, tell Pappy again how we get into the metaverse. I want to watch my program. you know.
I played the Oculus 2. I played the Oculus 2 and I was playing the boxing game
Yeah.
and I was getting into it, hitting. I took the damn thing off and I just had this like headache like right here. Just I was like, oh,
Just
I can't do this
woozy.
very long. Like it was fun, but the graphics are stupid.
Yeah,
Like
dude,
they're like
we're not meant to submerge into shit like
no,
that, dude.
no
We're not computers. We are at the end of the day, we are
people.
people, but even more people are in a strange sense we're animals. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
the only
facts.
difference is we're animals that are in touch with our consciousness. You know what I
Our
mean?
intelligence.
Yeah,
Well,
correct.
and
And
that's what football
we're
drives
meant
on
to be
our
outside, like
yeah,
not really meant
facts.
to be outside. I mean, we're
But
meant
we
to
are.
be able to go in and out and everything like that. Like our home, like our inside is more so just meant to be like shelter. But like
Yep,
the
facts.
world's just moving to that weird place. Like think about it, like like so many more people today go to a job where they're inside an office building or some
All
type
day.
of structure that's under, not natural light and maybe looking at a computer screen all day or
Yep.
looking at it throughout the day, like depending on the job, things like that. Very few people are still in those like blue collar, like get outside and go, and that's where it's shifting, and that's why it's going to eventually shift to the world of esports. It may be before our time's done. It may be something that our grandkids see really come to fruition. Who knows? I hope
Well, right
sports
now
stick
though,
around though, man.
right now the NFL is on top.
Yeah,
They
they
are
signed like a
crushing
billion
it.
dollar deal with Amazon
Yeah,
recently. That
yeah.
dude, are you seeing too that like like how all the different like analysts and like sports commentators stuff like that, their contracts are like coming up. Like Al Michaels, he's technically like a free agent in like the broadcasting game. Troy
Troy
Aikman
Aikman
went to
just
Monday Night Football.
yeah,
EA, Aaron Andrews coming up soon. I don't know if she's
yeah.
up this year or next year. So she'll be looking to make the part. I mean, did they ever say what Al Michaels is doing?
No, I
Or
haven't heard. I mean, if I was Al Michaels, I'd just hang it up, man. Just retire and enjoy my
nah,
life. But
I think he
I love
enjoys
Al
it too
Michaels.
much though.
Yeah, yeah,
He came on Pat's show talking about it, and I think he enjoys
yeah.
it too much to do it. But I also heard him say that he's envious of Pat because Pat and them can talk freely about however they want. So could you see like if Al Michaels just went into his own independent thing, not like how like McAfee's where it's like a news show kind of. I don't want to refer to his show as a news show because it is news,
Nah,
but it's presented in a very lighthearted way,
comedy. Yeah.
um, in a non-suit way per se.
Al
Al
my
Michaels, I feel like it would be cool to see him maybe do like a breakdown of like the big games from the day before or some shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get
And
him a segment on Pat's show, just doing that.
by the way, just a shout out to the Mavericks just beat the Utah Jazz. Boom.
Boom,
We have the same amount of wins now as the Jazz, more losses.
dude.
Um, let's go.
Dallas playoff push. You got the Mavs now. That's what 13 of or 11 of their last 13 now they've won or something like
Yeah.
that. And then
Yep.
thank God Luka's injury, nothing serious. I would look that up before the show just to see. I know
Toe sprain.
you had said he went down the other night. I checked, yeah, he's got a toe sprain. On the other side of things in Dallas, we're also pushing on the hockey side. I don't know if the Stars played tonight or not, but I know that with their win, I doubt they did because they played yesterday, but with their win over the Wild yesterday, that propelled them up to the third spot in the division, which means we're out of the wild card hunt now, and we're actually hunting for division spots, which is awesome. That gives us a lot of room to fall, but not really because it's just such a tight race in general. But big shout out to Jason Robertson, man. Had his first career hat trick on Friday night against the Jets, scored the game winner in overtime to complete the hat trick, then literally turns around on Sunday, says, I think I'll do that again. First player in franchise history to ever go back-to-back on hat tricks.
Man,
Got his
crushing it.
first 2 career hat tricks in back-to-back games for the guy. The rest of the team's got to step it up, though. He's not going to be able to, crank out a hat trick every night if we want to, keep the playoff race going. Stars got a tough one tomorrow night against the Predators, man. So
let's go.
Let's get
Dallas sports.
Put them on the map, baby. Putting them on the map.
Hopefully we get some baseball coming up soon.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they're gonna get closer in the middle and agree, and we can watch some baseball, go watch some games and stuff.
I agree, man. Hopefully they end this lockout soon, dude. Until then, I'm gonna keep enjoying the college baseball. I know we haven't been watching a whole lot of it, but I just had to run down this weekend. This has been a crazy weekend of college baseball. First, you start with a Division III school beating a Division I school. Loras College Duhawks. I don't even know where the hell they're located or what, but they're a Division III school, and they beat the University of Iowa Hawkeyes 3-1. The Hawkeyes were scoreless through 9 innings. Didn't score a single run till the ninth. Gonzaga turned around and beat OU, who is ranked number 4. Gonzaga obviously not known for their baseball, more so their basketball, so that's pretty good. UCLA handed Texas their first loss last night in the Shriners Classic down at Minute Maid Park. Texas was number 1 in the country, and UCLA took them. I think Texas may have been tired, though. The night before, they beat LSU, which was like a big game as well. Number 1 Texas against number 7 LSU. Then you have UCF upset number 2 Ole Miss.
Everybody's losing.
Mercer University, they upset number 10 Florida State. I mean, our Aggies struggled this weekend. They struggled. They were doing good. They were 6-2, 6-3. 6-2 heading into the weekend. They played in that Frisco College Classic that we wanted to go to. Just didn't work out. What?
They
didn't know for they went 1 for 2. 1 for 2. So
it's all right. 7-4.
So yeah, 7-4. Not too bad of a start to the season. The guy that I've been following a lot that we talked about last time we were on, Tommy White, finally proven he's a little bit human, not hitting 40 million home runs a game. He's basically gotten 1 hit in the last 6 games for them. Or each game he's gotten 1 hit. So still not bad. He's still getting on the hit card. No more home runs, though. And his batting average still sitting at .431, but that's only because he just started out so damn hot.
So damn hot, yeah.
So damn hot.
It's gonna be a good college baseball season. I'm excited to see as it gets more into the latter part of the season, conference play. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
And then we got March Madness coming up, guys. Everybody make sure that y'all tune in because we're gonna be doing a March Madness show, filling out the brackets, seeing if we can get it perfect.
Let's do
I think
it.
I can do a perfect bracket this year. I just got a wild feeling.
Well, the one year Warren Buffett was going to give $1 billion to the person that got a perfect bracket.
Yeah, I got a perfect bracket. I just happened to misplace it that year. He didn't believe me.
Yeah. I love it.
But yeah, man. Any other shout outs or anything like that before we get out of here?
Good to go.
Good deal. I appreciate everybody tuning in for this Monday special. I hope everybody's week is off to a good start. Hope that
stay warm.
Yeah, hope you guys are staying warm because it's supposed to get cold out there. All the Little League baseballers that are off to the races beginning this weekend or this upcoming week, y'all have fun in y'all's seasons. So that way the MLB doesn't die in viewership later on in life. Thank you guys for tuning in, guys. You guys have a good night. Peace from the lab.
Yeah. Later.
Kid is so wild.